Ever feel like it's too late? To really go after something you want. Well, today we're going to be looking at some incredible people who found huge success way later in life. And I'm
Wow.
talking way later,
Yeah.
like after 60 even.
Wow.
We'll be taking a deep dive into Bruce Frankel's book, What Should I Do with the Rest of My Life?
It's amazing. It's packed with stories of people who just completely redefine what's possible, no matter how old you are.
It's interesting. Frankel, he didn't just focus on those who were, you know, always high achievers.
Right.
He actually sought out people whose lives, before 60 were pretty normal, pretty ordinary. And that's what makes their transformations even more remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to meet a runner, a writer, a philanthropist,
Yeah.
even a psychologist.
Right.
It's proof that incredible potential, well, it can emerge at any age.
Okay, so first up, let's meet Margie Stahl.
Okay.
This woman became a nationally ranked runner after 60.
Really?
I mean, talk about defying expectations. What's really remarkable is that she didn't even run her first official race until she was almost 60. Imagine that. I mean, going from no experience, zero, to setting 40 Tennessee state records in just 8 years.
Wow.
It makes you really think, doesn't it? All those assumptions we have about age and, well, physical ability.
Yeah, you think, okay, you hit a certain age, you can't be like super athletic anymore.
Right.
But she just blew past all that.
She did.
It's like she unlocked some hidden athletic superpower.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't just like dominate at the state level.
Right.
She went on to win gold medals at the National Senior Games and even earned a top ranking in Running Times magazine.
Wow.
Another runner said about her, when the gun fires, she just pokers her heart and muscles and bones into winning that race.
That is such a great quote.
Isn't that a great quote? I just love that.
It really speaks to her grit. And it's not, just some kind of natural talent. Frankel, he actually goes into detail about how she trains, like early morning runs, cross-training, just a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work.
He even mentions she was doing races, wait for it, inside a prison.
And a prison.
Prison races.
Wow.
Talk about dedication. But what I find fascinating beyond the competition is how running really just transformed her whole life.
Right.
She talks about feeling younger, more fulfilled.
There's a lot of research that backs that up. Exercise, especially as we age, it can really boost cognitive function
Yeah.
and even reverse, some of those age-related declines that people worry about. So she's not just feeling younger. It's like there's actual biology happening there.
Wow.
It makes you think, right? Could pushing yourself physically later in life actually be like a secret to staying sharp mentally?
It makes you want to lace up your shoes and go for a run.
I mean,
But let's move on from the track to the world of literature, shall we?
Yeah.
So we just saw the power of like physical resilience. Harry Bernstein, he gives us a whole new perspective on resilience, I think. His writing career. It didn't actually take off until he was 96.
96.
Can you imagine decades of just facing rejection one after another? He actually wrote over 40 unpublished novels.
That's unbelievable.
I know.
Yeah.
And he even admitted to throwing a lot of those manuscripts away.
Really?
Because he lost faith.
Oh, I can understand that.
So what made him keep going? What do you think?
Well, it seems like after his wife passed away, he found some comfort in writing, a renewed sense of purpose. And his memoir, The Invisible Wall, well, that became a huge bestseller. Critically acclaimed, and people were comparing it to those really powerful stories like Angela's Ashes.
Wow.
But what's really fascinating is that his success actually came from finally embracing that age-old advice to write what you know.
Right. He stopped trying to be trendy.
Yeah.
And he just started writing about his own life experiences.
That's it. He poured his heart into telling about his childhood in this English mill town before World War II. And he really painted a vivid picture of a community that was, well, divided by, religious prejudice, something only he could tell. And it resonated with so many readers.
And it didn't stop there. He got a Guggenheim Fellowship and a Christopher Award.
Wow.
Not bad for someone who didn't hit it big until his late 90s.
Incredible.
His story just makes you think, maybe all those experiences we rack up over time, maybe they're actually our greatest assets, just waiting to be used,
Yeah. It definitely challenges that idea that, well, creativity has an expiration date. Perhaps it's the opposite. The longer we live, the richer our well of inspiration actually becomes.
Okay, so we've seen athletic success, creative success. But this next story takes us in a totally different direction.
Okay.
If Margie and Harry's stories were about personal triumphs, Dana Dakin's journey is about making a difference in the world. At 60, after a successful career in finance, she felt this, pull to do more, to really make a difference. I think it's that moment where you realize, there's got to be more to life than just climbing that corporate ladder. So what did she do?
Well, she was really inspired by Mohammed Yunus, the founder of the Grameen Bank, and his work, in microfinance. It really demonstrated that even small loans could help people. I mean, they could empower individuals and actually even uplift whole communities. And that just sparked something in Dana.
So she wanted to start her own microfinance initiative.
She did, but she went into it without a real concrete plan.
Wow.
She was drawn to Ghana. It was a place she'd been interested in since college, and she just decided to go for it.
Really?
I think there's something to be said about that fearlessness, that willingness to embrace the unknown that you often see in these light life transformations.
Right. Like maybe when you're younger, you have all these self-imposed limits, but when you reach a certain age, you let go of all that.
Yeah. You think, well, what do I have to lose? Right.
Right. Okay. So she lands in Ghana. What happens?
She found herself in this village, Pukwase, and the community there was, well, they were struggling with poverty, a lot of the women especially. But instead of just coming in with her own ideas, her own solutions, she took the time to really understand their situation, to work with the community.
I'm curious, what were some of the actual outcomes, from those microloans?
Okay, so she started an organization, Women's Trust.
Okay.
And it's helped, get this, over 2,000 women secure microloans.
Wow.
And the results have been amazing. There's been this big increase in girls going to school.
Oh, wow.
Families that maybe couldn't afford it before, now they can. And they see the value, because of the economic empowerment that these women have now.
Wow. So it's like empowering women and it leads to better education for their daughters.
Exactly. It's this ripple effect.
That's so cool.
And there's even been reports of less domestic violence, which suggests that, the power dynamics within households are changing as women gain financial independence. It's subtle, but it's profound. It just shows you how transformative her work really is.
It's like those loans. They're just the beginning. The impact just spreads out.
Yeah, to the families, the whole community. It's amazing.
It's so inspiring. Like one person's vision can really change the world.
It shows how interconnected things really are, and that it's never too late to use your skills, your experiences, to make a difference.
Dana's story makes me want to change the world.
Right.
But we have one more incredible person to meet.
Okay.
This time we're going into the world of psychology, and we're meeting Dr. Robbie Adeluca. This man started not one, but 2 new careers after the age of 50.
Wow. 2 new careers. Talk about a huge life change.
Right.
Dr. Robbie's story is really a testament to lifelong learning. This idea that you can always reinvent yourself. It's always possible.
So set the scene for us. What led him to make such a big change at that point in his life?
Okay, picture this. You're 52. You lose your job. The prospects in your field, they're not looking good. Most people, they probably just try to find something similar, right?
Right.
But Dr. Robbie, he went a different way. He decided to go back to school. And not for a quick course or anything. We're talking a full-blown PhD.
He started over at 52 to get a doctorate.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of courage and self-belief.
Doesn't it? He enrolled in a psychology program at SUNY Albany. It was a field he'd always been interested in.
But it wasn't just on a whim, was it? He had something specific in mind.
Definitely. He was really driven to understand, how humans develop across their lifespan.
Yeah.
And can you imagine the perspective he brought? I mean, he was probably the oldest student in his classes.
Right.
A living example of everything they were studying.
Like the textbook came to life.
Exactly.
But it doesn't stop there. He gets his PhD at 59, then decides to switch careers again.
Wow. What did he do?
He decided to be a therapist,
Really?
focusing on alcoholism and substance abuse.
Oh, wow. That's a tough field.
Very demanding, emotionally challenging.
Yeah.
But it really shows you his dedication to helping others.
It does.
So from losing his job at 52, he becomes a licensed therapist in his early 70s.
Talk about defying expectations. What an amazing story.
Yeah.
Did he actually have an impact on his community, though?
Oh, absolutely. He totally blew past those stereotypes we have about, older people. Like they're inflexible or they're afraid of change.
Right.
But Dr. Robbie, he showed that you can learn new things no matter how old you are. You can take on new challenges. You can even reinvent your entire career.
Wow.
And the impact. He earned the respect of all his colleagues, became this symbol of resilience. He even got a standing ovation at, get this, a Chamber of Commerce luncheon.
A standing ovation.
Frankel describes him as like a poster boy for eternal youth, which is so true. He really showed that age doesn't have to be a barrier to pursuing your passions or, making a difference.
Incredible. It really is.
His story is so inspiring, but it also makes you think about, the struggles older people face, like when they're looking for new opportunities, like the age discrimination he faced just applying for graduate school.
You're right. Frankel, he does point that out. Dr. Robbie was actually rejected from SUNY Albany at first. They said he was too old.
Wow.
Thankfully, he didn't give up. He found a program that, saw the value of his experience, but it just shows you it's a real issue.
Yeah. We still have a long way to go as a society, don't we? To give everyone equal opportunities, no matter their age.
We do.
But even with that discrimination, Dr. Robbie, he kept going. He shows us that if you're determined, if you believe in yourself, you can get past those obstacles.
He did.
Okay, so we've seen amazing resilience, dedication, and a willingness to change. What else connects these stories? What can we learn from these people, no matter our age?
Well, I think one thing is how resilient they all are. They all had setbacks, challenges, but they never gave up on their dreams. It's incredible. They just never quit. They bounce back from anything.
Right. And they weren't driven by, fame or money. They were looking for fulfillment, meaning they defied those expectations, challenged all those norms about what you're supposed to do at different ages.
Yeah.
And it's like they tapped into something, some hidden energy, some passion that was there all along.
Do you think maybe it's those expectations, the ones we face when we're younger, that hold us back? And then when we reach a certain age, we're free to really go after what we want.
I think you might be right.
It's an interesting thought, isn't it?
It is. Does age liberate us? From self-doubt, societal pressures, maybe we can finally be our true selves.
It could be a lot of things. Your life experiences, maybe your priorities change. Maybe you do get that feeling of, like, I've got nothing to lose. But whatever it is, these stories, they show the power of embracing change. Whether it's a new career, a lifelong passion, or making a difference somewhere else in the world, they all went outside their comfort zones and they embraced new possibilities.
And don't forget, they weren't alone. They had support systems. Family, friends, mentors, people who encouraged them, celebrated their successes.
Right.
It's a good reminder we don't have to do it alone.
Yeah, having people who believe in you, that makes all the difference. Okay, so we've seen athletic achievement, literary success, global impact. Are you ready to hear more about Dr. Robbie?
Oh, absolutely. I want to hear all about how he made those career changes.
Yeah.
And the impact he had on the people around him. I think there's so much we can learn from him.
There is. We were just talking about Dr. Robbie and his big decision, to switch things up at 52. Going back to school for a PhD after losing his job, it's like, what even sparked that? Was it a dream he always had or some sudden realization?
Well, Frankel kind of paints this picture of a guy who, always loved to learn, but he'd kind of taken a more, I guess, traditional path. Losing his job must have been tough, obviously. But it also seems like it really pushed him, to think about what was important. Like, what do I really want to do now?
So it was almost like he was forced to wake up a little bit, pushed outside of his comfort zone and into this whole new world. I bet it was a mix of, like, fear and excitement.
Oh, for sure. And think about, what people must have been saying. At that age, a lot of people are thinking about retirement. And he's diving headfirst into academia. It's not exactly the norm, is it?
No, it's like he threw out the rule book and said, I'm doing things my way.
Oh.
And he didn't just, like, scrape by in his studies. He totally rocked it, getting his PhD at 59. I wonder if his age, all that life experience, actually helped him in school.
That's a good question. Frankel doesn't really go into detail about his grades or anything, but it makes sense. I mean, think about psychology. All that wisdom, all those years of experience, that could be incredibly valuable in a field like that. Imagine the discussions they must have had about life, development. He'd lived through so much of it already.
He was walking, talking experience. But he wasn't just there to soak up knowledge. He wanted to use it, make a real difference. So he decides to become a therapist, specializing in addiction, substance abuse.
That choice says a lot about him. It's a tough field, not always rewarding, but it shows how much he cared about helping others, especially those struggling with really difficult stuff. Maybe he even saw a bit of himself in them, starting over later in life.
Yeah, I could see that. And he really jumped in. State certification, A hospital internship at 72. That's serious dedication. Can you imagine walking into that internship surrounded by people half his age? But he's bringing a lifetime of experience with him.
He really challenges all those stereotypes about older people, like they can't be flexible or learn new things. Dr. Rabi totally blew that out of the water. He proved it's never too late. You can always learn, try something new, even switch careers completely.
It's like he had this hidden potential, just waiting for the right moment to come out. And it's not just the change itself, it's the impact he had on everyone around him.
Oh, yeah. He was really making a difference. He earned so much respect, became the symbol of, never giving up. He even got a standing ovation at a Chamber of Commerce luncheon. It's not just about his career, it's about the person he was, how he inspired people.
It's a reminder that impact goes way beyond a fancy title. It's about what you stand for, how you lift others up. His story really makes you think, what am I capable of? No matter how old I am.
It does. Makes you wonder, what are we holding ourselves back from? What dreams have we given up on because we thought we were too old?
Dr. Rabi is living proof those limits are often just in our heads. We have way more power to change our lives than we think. But it's not always easy, is it? Remember, he had to deal with age discrimination just to get into grad school.
That's true. As inspiring as his story is, it shows how much bias is still out there. He was rejected just because of his age, even though he clearly had the brains and the drive.
It's a tough reminder that we need to do better. As a society, we need to make sure everyone has a fair shot, no matter their age. But even facing discrimination, Dr. Rabi never quit. He's a great example of what determination and self-belief can do.
Absolutely. He didn't let anything stop him. That's a powerful lesson for all of us. So besides resilience and defying expectations, what other connections do you see? What can we learn from these late bloomers, no matter how old we are?
I think support is huge. None of these people did it on their own. They had family, friends, mentors who cheered them on, believed in them, helped them through the rough patches.
Yeah, like having your own personal cheer squad, someone to remind you how awesome you are, keep you going when things get tough.
Exactly. And they all seem to have this really positive outlook, don't they? Like Dr. Rabi's motto, keep your face to the sunshine and the shadows will fall behind.
That's so good. They knew life throws curveballs, but it's how you react that matters. They chose to focus on the good, even when things were hard.
It's like they understood that life's going to have its ups and downs, but it's all about how you look at it. They saw those tough times as chances to grow, not as failures.
And they were able to adapt, whether it was a new skill, a new culture, even just the changes that come with getting older. They were so flexible, so resilient.
It's like they knew change is going to happen, so why fight it? Embrace it, learn from it, evolve. They weren't afraid to try new things, even if they might mess up. And that takes a lot of self-belief, doesn't it?
Absolutely. They had faith in themselves, even when no one else did. They didn't let age hold them back. They had this inner fire, this determination that just wouldn't quit.
It's like they were saying, you know what? I'm not going to let anyone tell me what I can or can't do. I'm going to trust myself, follow my heart, and see where it takes me. So what can our listeners take away from all this? What have we learned from these amazing people?
I think it's a message of hope. A reminder that it's never too late to chase your dreams, make a difference, live a life that feels good. They challenge us to really think about aging, to see the potential we all have no matter our age.
They show us that learning never stops, that stepping outside your comfort zone is a good thing, that it's okay to be resilient, to be optimistic.
And that you can find joy and meaning even later in life. It's pretty amazing.
So as we wrap up, I have a question for everyone listening. What's that one thing you've always wanted to do but thought you'd missed your chance? Maybe these stories have given you a new way of looking at things, a little spark of inspiration.
Maybe it's time to dig up that old dream and try again. What's the worst that could happen?
Exactly. You might surprise yourself. And if these late bloomers have taught us anything, it's that amazing things can happen when you push past your fears and just go for it. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and keep exploring, keep learning, and keep shining.
Until next time, happy deep diving.
You know, it's amazing to think about the impact, like the ripple effect these people had. What if Margie hadn't seen that flyer for the senior games, or Harry had just given up after like 40 rejections? The world would be missing out on some incredible stuff.
There's definitely an element of chance there, right? But I don't think it's all just luck. They were all open to trying new things, willing to kind of step outside their comfort zones and see what happens.
So it's like chance, but also being ready to jump when the opportunity comes knocking.
Yeah, exactly. Like that saying, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. They were all ready in their own way, even if they didn't realize it at the time.
And it wasn't just like things happening around them, right? They all
Yeah.
had these qualities, these things about them that helped them succeed later in life. What stands out to you?
Their optimism, for sure. It's a big one. They didn't let setbacks crush them. They used them, to move forward, like Dr. Robbie's motto, keep your face to the sunshine and the shadows will fall behind. So simple, but so powerful. Focus on the good, even when things are rough.
I love that. It's like they knew there would be good times and bad times, but it's all about how you look at it. They saw challenges as chances to learn and grow, not like, the end of the world.
And they were so adaptable, learning new skills, navigating a new culture, even dealing with, just getting older.
Yeah.
They were flexible, resilient.
Yeah. They knew things change. And instead of fighting it, they rolled with it. They weren't scared to try new things, even if it meant failing.
Yeah.
And speaking of, taking chances, they all had this really strong belief in themselves.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They believed in what they could do, even when other people doubted them. They didn't let age stop them. They had this, fire in them that just wouldn't go out.
It's like they were saying, I'm not going to let anyone tell me what I can or can't do. I'm going to trust myself, follow my heart, and see where it leads. So what's the takeaway for our listeners? What can we learn from these amazing late bloomers?
I think they're a huge inspiration. They remind us that it's never too late, to follow your dreams, make a difference, live a life that you love. They make us question how we think about aging. And they show us all the potential we have, no matter how old we are.
They push us to keep learning, to get outside our comfort zones, to be resilient and optimistic.
And they show us that we can find happiness and purpose even as we get older. It's amazing.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, I have one last question for everyone listening. What's that one thing, that thing you've always wanted to do but thought, it's too late now? Maybe these stories have given you a new way of thinking, a little spark.
Maybe it's time to dust off that dream and give it a shot. What have you got to lose?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You never know what you might discover about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if these late bloomers have taught us anything, it's that amazing things can happen when we push past our fears and just go for it. Thanks for joining us on this journey. And remember, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep shining.
And until next time, happy deep diving.